Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and I'm back with my weekly comic book review video upload. Thank you for joining me on my channel, and this week I am reviewing 5 of the books that I picked up on Wednesday, so if you watch my Wednesday's pull list video, you'll know what's coming. I will say that I am not going to review the Commandy Challenge special, only because it's one of those difficult things to review because it is kind of reprints, it's a storytelling of its time and it was written for that kind of era, so it may look kind of, not basic, but you know, a simple storytelling kind of technique that, you know, was great for that time, but to try and review it now, I think a lot of critics, a lot of reviewers could be potentially quite harsh about it. But at the end of the day, it was a nice kind of reminder of what Commandy used to be like. It's kind of a bit of a prep for the coming 12-issue maxi series, the Commandy Challenge, with a whole host of different writers and artists doing kind of like a round robin kind of storytelling. Someone finishes it on a cliffhanger and the next story, the next writer and artist have to pick that story up and take it wherever they want to take it. So really looking forward to that, but I'm not really going to review that book because it is basically just reprints with some new material on, but it was a fun read nevertheless. Now on to the 5 books that I did pick up. You'll know if you've watched my Wednesday's video what they are. I will remind you, this is a review video, so I'm going to be spoiling certain storylines that I want to talk about. So if you haven't read any of these and once you see me put up the comic, just fast forward it or come back. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but it's a review video. I need to talk about certain things in the books. And we're going to kick off with issue 18 of the Uncanny In Humans. From Charles Soule, he's focusing very much on Maximus the Mad. This is an Uncanny In Humans versus X-Men tie-in, sort of, because all we really have is Maximus, who's gathered a few of the more kind of evil type Inhumans, and he's been kind of biding his time, plotting to basically just mix things up. I don't really think he's got a huge plan, but he's seen that, you know, the Inhumans and the X-Men are fighting with each other, so what he's going to do, he's going to make things even worse than they already are. There are some kind of twists in here where, you know, he's out to release Karnak, who's been imprisoned for his place in the whole Tony Stark taking him down in ways that he shouldn't have, against Queen Medusa's orders and all that. So he's made a rather uneasy alliance now with Maximus. It was an okay story for a tie-in. As I said, there wasn't really a great deal outside of just Maximus freeing Karnak and getting a few people together to form his gang, so to speak. But I'll be glad when it's not tied into this and it can go back to just telling its story about the Inhumans. A return, whether it's welcome or not, I'm not so sure, but issue 13 of Eric Stevenson's They're Not Like Us. And the problem with this, as I'm sure many of you, or the few of us who are still getting this, is it's been a while since the last issue, and what happened? It's kind of, reading this, it's hard to care about anything that's happening here to any of the characters. And while there is, by the time you finish the story, it's kind of crescending to a final point. It feels like, you know, the players are being kind of placed on the board, so to speak, in their places, and they're getting ready for this supposed kind of all-out war between these factions of mutant type characters with kind of grey morals in going forward with their lives and how they use it. But at that point it's kind of, it's hard to know whose side is on whose and whose side we should be rooting for. Yes, we've had our main protagonist, the character Sid, who she has been kind of had enough of the way the voice has been kind of controlling everyone, and now she wants to kind of, I don't know, free, I guess, her gang, her friends, because they're not really friends as such. There seems to be lots of disconnects between the characters, whether they either like each other, hate each other, or ambivalent to each other, ready to stab each other in the back. It's all very confusing, and it's a shame because the artwork in here by Simon Gain and the colours obviously by Jody Belair are fantastic. I really like the feel and the look of this book. The story, unfortunately, due to that huge hiatus, I needed more for its comeback. Maybe a little bit more kind of catch up of where we are, rather than kind of throwing all these characters at us that we barely remember from the last issue being so long. And it's a shame because it's a nice little book. It's been probably under a lot of people's radar, especially now, but maybe as a collected edition it'd be a really good read, just to like sit down and read it all in one go. So that was They're Not Like Us. Moving on to the other Marvel title I picked up this week, the wonderful team of Chris Samney, Mark Waid and Matthew Wilson. It's Black Widow issue number 10, and we go in space! I love this! It feels very kind of old school Marvel in the sense that, yes, these kind of almost street level characters, because you know Black Widow is not really kind of let's go off and have space adventures, suddenly just do. She's found this kind of almost dilapidated spacecraft and managed to get to the moon because they are in search of Nick Fury. Nick Fury has requested Black Widow's presence over on the blue spot of the moon, but now Nick Fury has suddenly become this character called the Unseen. Now, I no idea how this has happened. I have a feeling it may have come out of the whole kind of the Watcher being killed and all that stuff. I didn't read that, I didn't get that mini-series event, but I'm guessing it's kind of out of that, and he's become this kind of cloaked, chained creature who basically just doesn't speak. Let me get a picture of him, here we go. What is great about this book is, of course, Chris Samney's artwork on here, the great panelling he does. There's some like kind of great scenes where the Lion has, you know, he's been taken up there in space along with Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, and he's got his own little plan to kind of get all the secrets out of Nick Fury's head, but it kind of ends up a little bit too much. And what we get out of this is Nick Fury leaving a rather cryptic message written on the moon as he walked all over it. But as I was saying, the artwork in here, the colours, just fantastic. There's an end scene with Recluse where she is out to save the rest of the children from the, is it the Black Room, the Red Room now, but just taking down the Lion's kind of bodyguard sidekick. That is just beautiful setup, great inlays showing the kind of the violence and the it's just really kinetic and just so interesting to look at, and with those kind of subdued dark blues and reds, really makes for a great cover. Mark Waid and Chris Samney just do this great thing with these characters, these underused characters, and really push them to the forefront, give them exciting, interesting stories for the reader to gravitate to, and make these characters so much more interesting and fascinating than they have been in previous volumes of their books. Did it with Daredevil, they've done it now with Black Widow. Who should they pick up next? Let me know in the comment section down below. I have a few ideas, but I'd like to hear what you'd say. Penultimate book this week, Descender, issue number 18, and what Jeff Lemire does here is give us kind of like a three-pronged story here as we jump into three different people's storylines. We've got Adam, the kind of human brother of Tim 21, who he's still searching for on this kind of deserted planet. We've got what appears to be the culmination of the battle between Tim 21 and Tim 22 with Telsa and Quan making their escape from the machine moon. And then finally we have the UGC Council, who are, I guess, kind of trying to avert a kind of global universal war between all the planets and all these kind of factions that live within the universe that Jeff Lemire has created. But what's great about this book is that no one storyline is less than the other. It's not just thrown in there just to fill the book out. Each one of them has a moment. We have Andy, who seems to be questioning his purpose. He was a salvager. He is trying to take down all the kind of the robots to make sure that there isn't another invasion. We've got the UGC's council kind of reveal that they are making their own robots to fight what they think is the coming invasion of the robots coming back. And that's why they're so keen on getting Tim 21, because he is apparently that one component left to ensure that these robots that they're building, I guess, will stay on their side and not kind of turn on them again. And then the big one, remember, spoilers if you've not read Descender. Yes, we didn't see the end of it, and I guess by the time you've read the end of this you'll understand why, but the battle between Tim 21 and Tim 22 seemed to have come to an end where Tim 21 has taken down Tim 22. He's feeling very guilty about it, but it's kind of revealed that he has these war gun type capabilities housed within his body. And as Telsa and Quan with Tim 21 escape, there is kind of like, it's almost like Star Wars-esque. They're on this kind of juggernaut of a spaceship trying to outrun ships from the machine world, and they only just finally escape through some kind of starburst. But what do we find out at the very end? It's not Tim 21, it's Tim 22. He's kind of infiltrated himself into the kind of Rebel Alliance kind of deal with Quan and Telsa. It was a really great kind of twist to the end of this story. I absolutely adore this book. I always said it's a nice little addition to Image's kind of sci-fi section of their publishing house, and done in such a different way than kind of like the stark, clean, crisp lines that you normally see within a kind of sci-fi scenario. This is a lovely kind of painted world with that kind of texture of the canvas on a painting on the back. I've always loved that, and just makes this book really, really special. And I would thoroughly recommend anyone to pick up Descender. There's a couple, I'm sure, trades on this already. You won't be disappointed. It's a good read. It stays steady constantly. So finally, and probably was the best book that came out this week, it was of course Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillip and Elizabeth Weiss's Kill or Be Killed, issue number 5. And there was so much to enjoy with this book, as we have Dylan, our kind of main character, pondering life, fate and destiny. Now, we've seen in books like Saga where the first page used to always be kind of like very surprising, very odd, very kind of out there. But as much as I enjoyed those, and as Saga has kept going, they keep kind of doing these shocking full page panels. They don't really have that impact anymore. And I always felt that they were, while surprising, they didn't really kind of feed the story. There wasn't the words behind it to back it up. It was just a visual impact. Well, the first page of Kill or Be Killed does both. It's a great first page, full page cover where we have Dylan patiently waiting in a public convenience toilet cubicle, waiting for his next victim. Like I said, he's pondering about fate and where people kind of land in life. Were they meant to be there? You know, there are other people that become millionaires, billionaires. Was it their fate to be there, their destiny, while some of us are just meant to kind of slog our way through life in a kind of 9-to-5 day job, just clinging on to just having a relatively comfortable life, or really struggling through life. And he does ponder this all the way through the book as we get him kind of catching up with Kira, kind of post breakup with her boyfriend Mason, but they just kind of, their friendship, you know, obviously they've slept with each other, and the kind of awkwardness that has now been, even though they still meet up, the conversation is very, very stunted, very artificial, and that kind of friendship bond that they had pre her breakup with Mason has gone now, which it just makes them, both of them, they both realise this, but they don't know how to break free from that. At the same time, we've got Dylan learning how to not necessarily fight, because, you know, last time when he took on the hooker, he kind of got beaten up quite a bit, so he's kind of learning how to take a punch, basically. So next time, you know, he's more prepared for it. He could probably take a lot more damage. And then he meets up with Daisy, who was kind of one of his dates from early on in the earlier issues, who just happens to be around. Like I said, there's this kind of idea that everything that he feels is destiny. He's meant to meet Daisy here, or he's meant to be in that toilet, or he was meant to be in that diner overhearing a kind of corrupt kind of lawyer type character who is his next victim. But by the end of this, it's kind of, is destiny kind of got him to this point where, yes, he gets this kind of corrupt guy, but at the same time, in the shopping mall, not a great place to do kind of like a murder with a great big shotgun, but he's overheard by the police, the security, and now he's in a rather awkward predicament of being in a public convenience with a cop at his at the door, his only means of escape, getting ready to shoot him. Just a great character study from Ed Brubaker, who manages to not only get inside people's heads but also move the story along. Such a great book. Again, Sean Phillips and Elizabeth Brightweiser doing some great artwork in here, some really impactful panels in here, and great storytelling, artistic storytelling techniques. What a great book. I would presume there's probably maybe another issue until this first lot gets collected. Maybe, is there one out? I'm just trying to remember. I seem to have seen articles, advertisements for the first trade, so it must be coming up soon. If you've not picked up on Kill or Be Killed yet, then pick up the first trade, because you are in for such a treat. And yes, they're all my comic books this week. Thank you for joining me. Let me know in the comments section down below what books you picked up, if you picked up any of mine. Did you agree with what I was saying about the books? Just let me know. We'll have a conversation down there. Give this video a big thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit the red button and you won't miss out on any more of my videos. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.